So over the past year or so, I've created several general how to save money type videos. And if you haven't seen any of these, I do recommend that you check them out because I always try and bring something new each time. And one thing I like about these videos is that you guys will often chime in and share your best tips for saving money. And some of these have been really good and unique. So today I thought it would be fun to go through and highlight some of the best money saving tips from you. But as usual, if you are new here, welcome. I create videos on personal finance. So if you like videos like this and you would like to see more, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. And also give me a thumbs up if you hear something new or if you hear something that stands out. So the first tip, and I can't believe I never thought of this, is to unfollow certain influencers. Now we all know the power of social media. It's a great way to stay connected with friends and family. We can share our lives and we can also find valuable content. But it can also be damaging to our financial well-being, especially if we start comparing ourselves to others or if we are influenced to buy things that we can't afford. Now don't get me wrong, I love clothing and makeup haul videos as much as the next person. I like fashion, so these are fun to watch. But at the same time, I'm not really a big shopper, so watching those types of videos don't really affect me like they might affect other people. But on the other hand, if you're trying to save money or break a shopping habit, watching other people shop or spend money is probably not the best way to spend your time because it can feed the temptation. Or if you look up to a certain influencer, you might try and imitate their style and buy what they buy, but it's at the expense of your wallet. But you have to remember, this is their business. And I'm not a tax preparer, but to my understanding, fashion influencers who do hauls and then reviews of the products, oftentimes they can write off certain purchases as a business expense because the items are actually related to their job. And some don't even keep all of the merchandise. After filming a video, they might send back a few pieces, meaning that their actual expense is a lot less. So if you're trying to keep up with them and buy what they buy, you're only hurting yourself financially. Another tip, which might not sit that well with a lot of people, but it can also work, is don't celebrate the holidays. Now granted, the person who shared this tip is probably referring to skipping some of the traditions that can drain your wallet, such as gift giving. But I had to include it because I cannot tell you the number of times I've been in a store around the holiday season. In the checkout line, I will hear people talking amongst themselves and they're complaining about going into debt buying gifts or spending money that they don't really have to spend. And I realize that a lot of people don't want to break tradition, but if gift giving strains your wallet or if it's something you really just don't want to do anymore, you really don't have to do it. Your family and friends know that you love and care about them, and they probably don't want you going into debt to show this. Besides, if you were to bring up the idea of just skipping the whole gift giving, you never know, the people in your life might welcome this. Another tip is to pin and browse Pinterest instead of shopping, and the whole idea is to use the platform to help curb impulse buying, which according to this person who sent this tip, it works because pinning and browsing mimics the act of shopping when bored. And this tip is right on time because I recently did a video about fun and productive things to do instead of spending money when you're bored. And I highlighted in that video that a lot of spending problems will actually start off as boredom problems. So if you can find a way to distract yourself, you're less likely to spend money. But this tip takes it a step further because it helps you to be more intentional with your spending. And what she said about pinning on Pinterest is very interesting, and I will read this verbatim. It also helps me realize what I truly like. If I pin 10 orange sweaters over the past month, then I know I may really like to own one instead of just getting one on a whim. I mean, seriously, when I first read that, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Another tip is to have separate accounts for bill money and spend money. Like a lot of people, I keep the money that I'm using for bills and for spending in the same checking account attached to the same debit card. But of course, with all your money in one account, it is very easy to overspend, maybe on food or recreation, because you can easily dip a little into your bill money, which can get you into trouble. But this tip really alleviates that because you will have one checking account and one debit card for bills, and then another checking account and another debit card for your spend money. And when you leave the house, you only take the debit card that's attached to your spend account. And as far as the spend account, you will transfer a certain amount into it every single month. And once the money is gone, it's gone. There's no dipping into your bill money. And this works because it ensures that you will always have enough available for your bills. And when you're not dipping into the same pot to pay for everything, you're less likely to run out of money. And I realize that setting up another checking account is an extra step, but a lot of banks will give you free checking, and you can even set up an account online. It really doesn't take a lot of effort, so it's something worth considering, especially if you earn enough to pay all of your expenses, yet you're constantly running out of money. Another tip is to pretend that you don't have any money, and this is a really simple way to trick yourself into saving money. And he actually describes it as a mindset as if you're homeless. Every day I tell myself that I only have $10 in my pocket, and I ask myself, how long should this money last me? This helps me to really discipline myself to spend that $10 on something that's a real need. I really like this because it's like faking it until you make it in reverse, and it does work. If you're saving up for a financial goal, maybe building a savings account, buying a house, or taking a vacation, pretend as if you only have money for the bare essentials, regardless of how much you actually have in the bank. Financial discipline is not easy, and sometimes, yes, you have to get creative and use some psychological tricks to help you get to the finish line. Another tip is to create a capsule wardrobe. This is something that I have been wanting to do for years, but I've yet to start. But I might make this year the year that I get the ball rolling, because it is an excellent way to really save money, declutter, and just live a more simple life. And if you're not familiar with a capsule wardrobe, it's essentially a mini wardrobe consisting of a few timeless pieces that you can mix and match to create multiple outfits. For example, you might have 10 pieces in your capsule wardrobe, yet these 10 pieces can create 30 different outfits. And this approach saves money because you're buying clothes that will never go out of style. So depending on the quality and how well you take care of the garments, the clothes can really last for years, reducing how much you have to spend on replacement items. Another tip is to use the library for free stuff, and I'm having a hard time locating this original tip, so hopefully I'll be able to find it and screenshot it before the video goes live. But the library, it isn't only a place for books or to read magazines, it is also a great place for free resources. Now, resources will vary from library to library depending on where you live, but other things you can use the library for include renting audiobooks or maybe even renting movies. Some libraries host free performing arts events, or they might have free career or personal development workshops. And depending on where you live, your library might even offer discounts or free admission to local museums. Another tip is to sign up for overdraft protection. And this was a tip that someone sent me through email. And basically, it's a way to prevent your checking account from falling below zero, which can save you money. Basically, you will link your checking account to a backup source, maybe a personal savings account or a line of credit. And if you use your debit card or write a check and there isn't enough money in your account, instead of overdrawing your account, the bank will automatically transfer funds from your backup source into checking. And this is a great tool to have in case you accidentally overdraw your account, because many banks will charge as much as $35 to $40 per item. So if you have 3 overdrafts in a single day, you could end up paying over $100. But even though overdraft protection can be great protection, it shouldn't be viewed as a crutch. So in other words, you shouldn't intentionally overdraw your accounts. But it can be good insurance to have in your back pocket just in case, and I'll tell you why. Years ago in my early 20s, I had a part-time job. I deposited my check in the bank and went and started doing things that people do with their checks, such as paying bills. Well, not even a week later, I go check my bank account and I have multiple overdraft fees. Contact the bank, and as it turns out, the check that my employer wrote to me bounced. So my point is, things beyond your control can happen. Another tip is to give yourself a budget for each category when grocery shopping. It is so easy, I believe, to overspend when shopping for food. And even though it's a lot cheaper to cook for yourself than it is to eat out every single day, food can get expensive, and I really think it's an expense that catches a lot of people off guard. I remember going food shopping on my own for the first time after moving out of my parents' house, and yeah, I greatly underestimated how much it would cost for 2 people to eat on a monthly basis. So setting a budget for each food category is really a great tip because it can help ensure that you don't overspend on certain items. And according to the person who shared this tip, they will spend $50 on meats, $25 on vegetables, and $25 on carbohydrates. And according to them, this works for their family. I've never even thought to do this, but I'm definitely going to give it a try this week. Another tip is to write down how much you spend on variable expenses each week. Variable expenses are those that can change from week to week, such as gas, food, and recreation. And sometimes it's these expenses that really bust our budget because they're not fixed, so it's easier to overspend in these categories. The problem though is that a lot of people don't even realize they're overspending on these expenses until the end of the month after they've already run out of money. But if you go through your statements at the end of every week and you calculate how much you're actually spending on variable expenses, this keeps your extra spending visible and you're able to catch problems early. If you're spending more than what you budgeted for, you can make adjustments before things get out of hand, which ensures you have enough money to get through the month. So there you have it. That's my list of some of the best money saving tips I've received from you guys over the past year. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, do consider subscribing. Again, here we talk a lot about personal finance, different ways that you can fix your wallet and get to a good place financially. So if you like videos like this and you want to see more, I do post every weekend and sometimes during the week. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in a few days.